It's Dee Dee on the spot.
Welcome to another episode of DD on the Spot. As always, I'm your host, Ryan Johnson. Before I get to our guests here today, I'd like to remind everyone that if you enjoy this content, to please like and subscribe down below. We greatly appreciate it. We have April Rose, Oscar Garcia, Justice Maynard, Dennis Burns. Alone, they are just your average Joe, but together, when they form, they are Auditory Armory. And they're coming to us all the way down from the muggy hellhole that is Florida. Just kidding, I've been down to Florida. It's not too bad. But how are you guys doing?
The human hellhole.
Yeah, I went down there one time for spring for our in high school for a baseball tournament, and it was very, very muggy, and it wasn't the best experience, but I enjoyed it. We stayed right on the beach. But why don't we go around? You guys can introduce yourselves. Give us a little bit of a backstory. What got you into music, and what your influences are.
Start with that. Ladies first.
No, start.
Jeez.
Well, I was 12 years old sitting on a jungle gym and heard Def Leppard Power Mania. And that's where it started. Obviously, my tastes have evolved over the years, but yeah, that's what got me into music. Anybody else got anything?
Well, the same way, man. I started like Def Leppard and Iron Maiden and a lot of stuff back in that day.
I'm too embarrassed to admit when I was 5 years old, but when I was 7, I Twisted Sister and Kiss.
Yeah!
Honestly, yeah, when I was 5, my dad bought me like my first Kiss album, Kiss Alive 2, and I was like 5. I was like running around the room, jamming out, jumping off the couch. So,
I guess my influences are slightly different, but that's why I love our band, because we have so many different elements. Well, my dad always sang. He's a singer, and so I got a lot of musical influences. But my dad liked a lot of the old standards like Frank Sinatra, Matt Monroe, things like that. But I kind of got more into rock. I would say my influences are like more from the early 90s, so like Tori Amos, Alice in Chains, Soundgarden. That's kind of like what started getting me into music. And then I started taking guitar lessons when I was like 12 or 13, and then I just really took to it, and then it's just evolved from there.
Yeah.
So.
That's awesome. So, how did this band come to be? Was there an audition process, or did you guys please don't tell me that there was a Craigslist ad, because we've had that on there before, and it's become way more popular than I thought. I've had like 5 bands that have done Craigslist, but how did it work out for you guys?
That a lot. You're right, Ryan. A lot of people do that, like a Craigslist thing. I found these guys outside in the neighborhood. Well, I don't know. It's a
That will work for food sign. It works.
Oh man, how does this even start? So, we've all kind of like known each other like separately, and then for how long? How many years? It's been a long time.
Well, I met these guys in '08.
Yeah, so
it's been 10.
No, 7.
that you guys known each other, and then before Auditory Armory, we were in a band called Fields of Glass, which was well, yes, you were there.
I wasn't even in the picture.
He was there in the end. Anyway, let's not complicate things. So, but it was a symphonic metal band. There were 8 members.
Ever played cello in that metal band?
Wow.
I played electric cello in that band. Dennis played guitar, and Justice played guitar. Oscar played drums, of course, towards the last incarnation of Fields of Glass.
There were 8 members.
There were 8 members, yeah.
Wow.
So, but through that, like I kind of, I had like I've been playing guitar for a while, so I kind of wanted to express that. And so at first I wasn't even thinking of starting a band. I wanted to do kind of an interesting like 2-piece Dresden Dolls kind of like experimental kind of thing, but I wanted a drummer, and then our friend Juan or JB introduced me to Oscar. He was in a band with Oscar called Over the Radar, and at that time, you weren't in a band at the time.
No, I was going through some life stuff.
Yeah, he was going through a lot of life stuff. So it's like we found each other. We needed this. So, and I'm glad because he's such an excellent drummer, and it would have been a shame to leave. So I got lucky, and so Oscar and I started playing as a two-piece, and then played some shows like that, and it just evolved from there. And then Dennis eventually joined and played guitar, and then Justice was like, well, I'm at the shows already because he's my fiance. He's like, I'm just sitting here at the shows getting drunk, so I might as well do something. So we already had 2 guitarists in the band, so he decided to learn bass, and he's such an excellent guitarist. So he kind of taught himself bass through videos, and now he's amazing. He won't tell you that, but he's humble, but he's amazing. So then it kind of went from there. It went just kind of progressed from being more of an alternative hard rock to all our influences: thrash, metal, progressive. So that's how Auditory Armory came to be.
How did the name Auditory Armory come to be? Is there a story behind that, or was it just something that you guys randomly thought of?
Okay. What do you want to say?
Oh no, you go ahead.
Okay.
April
I've
Rose.
actually never heard this one.
What? Okay, so Auditory Armory. Well, when I started it, initially it was going to be like a solo thing or a two-piece. So I wanted it to represent I was trying to figure out something clever with my initials because, with Trent Reznor, he's 9 Inch Nails.
Mm-hmm.
He goes, even though he does a lot of the stuff, he goes by 9 Inch Nails. He doesn't go by Trent Reznor. So I was like, okay, I don't want to go as just April Montellano. I want to go as something different. So before, I used to capitalize the ARM. It used to be Auditory Armory because my initial, it's April Rose Montellano.
Oh, I see what you did there.
So that's the arm part, exactly.
Armory.
So I thought the word with that, and it was armory, and then it became auditory. So it kind of came to mean words as weapons or music as a weapon. So that's how it came. So it started from my initials and then became that.
That's awesome. So this next question is for Oscar. Oscar, you're the drummer, and I love to ask drummers this question when I have them on. Do you ever feel that extra added pressure when you guys are performing live? I mean, drummers are sort of the backbone of the band when it comes to laying down the beat and kind of keeping everything together. Do you feel that extra added pressure knowing that if you mess up, it can kind of derail everything with the band? And how do you deal with that extra pressure?
For 30 years, 100% of the time. Yes. Nowadays, I don't know. I just don't think about it. I just count. If I can hear something, and just go with that.
Yeah.
And just don't think about it, because if you think about it, then you'll mess up.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Not saying that I never mess up, but I try not to have my mind on it.
Yeah.
The point is, if you sit there and go, don't mess up, don't mess up, don't mess up,
You're gonna mess
that's
up.
when you're going to mess up.
Yeah, exactly. So now this next one goes out to Justice because we all know that the bassists are kind of known as the redhead stepchildren of the band. They're kind of not given that much credit. That's what I like to call them. So what would you say, Justice, is the most undervalued part of bassist when it comes to being in the band?
Playing bass. We're always the one that no one hears. We're always the one that no one pays attention to.
Until he's not there, then he's in trouble.
Right. I know. Otherwise, yeah, like I said, you don't know it's there until it's there, and then I don't know. It depends on your thing and your tone and what you do exactly. If you're just hitting the root notes, or if you actually do something that complements something that can, then you realize, oh my, I can hear this. There's more music to this and what's going on than just someone pounding out root notes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
How long did it take for you to pick up on the bass?
Because I played guitar for a number of years, my influences are like Paul Gilbert and Marty Friedman and everything. I learned tons of that kind of stuff. So left hand was decent. This was an entirely different story because I admire all these bass players like Victor Wooten and so many different guys. Especially I learned a lot of, which is weird, bass techniques from Tosin Abasi. I learned a lot of his techniques that he learned
From Victor Wooten, right?
Well, I didn't learn from Victor, but I learned from Evan Brewer. That learned from the Wooten family, and so I've developed a lot of that, and it's very difficult. It becomes, it's a lot of practice. So this is difficult. That was hard to learn, and it was hard to learn, and it's a continuous practice. But I enjoy doing it, and I do a lot of little lessons online. Scott's bass lesson is amazing. I watch him probably 5 times a week. So
but
that
you
was
picked
probably
it up
a
pretty,
dash.
yeah. You picked it up pretty quickly, but I think over time his technique got even stronger. Like I feel like when you first started, you probably played bass more like a guitarist would do, but then when his right hand and he really like finessed it, now it's like we've had every time we play, I always hear people come up to Justice like, holy shit. Can I curse, Ryan? Is that okay?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. We're months away from getting monetized on YouTube anyway, so yeah, swear away, yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. I used to think like, holy shit, you're amazing. Like, and all these bassists come up to him after shows, even just, listeners in the audience, and they're like, you're a really good bassist. And bass players will go to him now and be like, you're really good. So that's like a sign, when other bassists tell you that. So he's really humble, but he's excellent. And he's got just a very unique thing. He likes, I think when he played guitar too, you like to tap a lot. So he employs that technique with the bass too. He does a lot of ambient and tapping, and he has his kind of a very integral part of the songs that like, wow, it's almost like a keyboard in some elements. So yeah, I think just over time he's just become even greater. Even though he picked up on it pretty quickly, it's evolved since then.
Yeah. Now, Dennis, if there was any type of guitar that you could play, if you had access to any guitar on the planet, what guitar would you want to play?
I don't know. Actual guitar, I don't know. I'm not at all a gearhead.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know guitars as well as I probably should.
You kind of like LTE though. Now that I'm looking at the wall.
Yeah, we'll have to pan over later, but he has like five ESP LTDs like hanging on the wall right there. So.
Just go with the.
But if I had 5 minutes with Devin Townsend's giant guitar,
That might be the giant V.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So now this goes to April and Justice. This is actually the second time that we've had people that are married in the same band. How does that work for you guys? How did that come to be? And has it been a problem sort of separating your work life from kind of just from your personal life?
For me, I mean, I consider myself lucky that I get to do this with somebody that I love, and the whole band is like, it's like a family, I mean, so, yeah, being in a band with your fiance, your husband, it's really cool. Like, sometimes you'll have disagreements, and like, at the end of the day, we will always love each other and support each other. But sometimes I mean, they know I yell at Justice all the time. I'm like, God, come on, but it's not that, it's not like we don't take that into account later, and it doesn't like affect our relationship in a bad way or anything. It's just, that's like when we're in the band, I'm there to like focus on the band and make the songs, as best as they can be. But like, it's really cool that we get to do this with each other, because a lot of people don't get to do that, and it's awesome that we share music and we share this passion together, and that we write music together. I think it's great.
Yeah, that part is super cool. I mean, we get to do everything together, including playing music, and we have the same goal and the same thing that we want to do and achieve, and it's literally helpful in a way.
Yeah. So when it comes down to writing music, who comes up with the majority of the lyrics for the group?
Yeah, Oscar has helped me with lyrics on some of the songs, but I write the majority of the lyrics of the songs.
And where do you get most of the inspiration for your lyrics? Is it more day-to-day stuff, or is it maybe stuff that you hear on the news? And then I've always asked people this that we've had in the show, and we've never had anyone say yes, but there's always that trope in the movies where the lead singer, or the guy who writes the music in the band, is asleep, and then he has this dream where the perfect lyrics pop into his head, and then he wakes up and is like, oh my God, I got to write this down. Has that ever happened to you?
Yes, absolutely. It really has. So I do have very vivid dreams, and actually one of our tracks on The Awakening, Beyond Hope, that in those lyrics came to me in a dream entirely, and so did the music. I woke up and I'm like, I gotta write this down, and I did, and like part of the song, the lyrics, probably about half of it came from that dream, and then like I just kind of built on that. As far as my other influences, I tend to write very cerebral, deep lyrics. You know, I like to explore a lot of like themes that are a little bit darker, more emotional, not like emo or anything, but just very pensive, very thoughtful. And, you know, I like to explore like darker emotions that people don't really want to talk about. And also day-to-day and life things, just about like existence, and things in the news can influence me as well. I do really like to find the beauty in what people would consider mundane. So I like to build on those topics and things things in the news or personal things that have happened to me. But the way that I write my lyrics is that I like to write them in a very kind of poetic way, so that the listener can have their own interpretation of the song. So I'm not very literal with the song. So I'm not telling you like, today I did this, and this person fucked me over. Like, it's more like done in a poetic way, so that, you know, I've had people tell me like, you know, to them, my song meant this, or, you know, or this thing. So, you know, I could have wrote the song about something very personal that happened to me, but somebody might, you know, adapt that to like, oh, this could be about a family member. Like with The Last Day, Dennis wrote the majority of the music for that song, and the imagery in that song was very like apocalyptic. So I kind of explored themes of like, what would I do if it was the last day on Earth, you know? But I've had other people who've listened to that song and kind of interpret it as the loss of a loved one. So I think that's really cool that they're able to do that with our music.
And there's a really cool fan-made video of that song.
Yeah.
Oh, you had a fan-made video? Do you know who made it?
Yeah, a friend of ours, Lenny. He did a fan-made video of it with all these clips from all these different movies, and very apocalyptic, and it's really cool.
Oh, I'll have to leave a link down below. I'll leave for all the listeners out there. Yeah, there will be a link down below of that video. It sounds very, very interesting.
He did a great job with it, man. He did a great job.
And one thing I've always wanted to ask, well, I've asked most of the bands I have on here, but when you guys are coming up with song titles, are you a lot of people, it's like half and half. It's either you come up with the title ahead of time and then you write the lyrics kind of based off that, or you look at the lyrics when you're done and then you decide a title out of the lyrics. What do you think you guys prefer over the other?
I think it's always been song first and
Right.
then the title. Like, we look at the lyrics and then
Right.
a title pops up.
Yeah, exactly. It's usually, it's pretty much a large percentage of the time the song, we write the lyrics, and then I'll get like, try to input like, what should I call this song? Sometimes I can think of stuff, but like we have this song that we have written recently and I can't think of a title, so we'll have to, I'll look at the lyrics and you know, go based on that.
When you write your songs down as well, do you have a melody kind of in mind of what it's going to sound like, or do you take the lyrics to the rest of the band and say like, hey, can we come up with something out of these lyrics? How does that work?
I usually have the structure of the song and the melody already in my head, and then so like I think the way that I write songs, so sometimes I'll come up with the riff first, but a lot of the time I come up with the vocal melody will, you know, come to me, and then I'm like, well, I got to put a guitar to this. So then from that I kind of lay down the foundation, so I have the chord changes and the chord structure. I don't have any ornamental things yet. So it's just like the basic foundation, and then I bring it to the rest of the band, and then they add their own flair, they add their own touch, and they make it better. so they add like their own, I have the foundation and they build it so that it's this like epic song.
Yeah. We love hearing first show stories on this show. What was the first gig that you guys played together as Auditory Armory? Where was it at and how did it go?
It was October 30th, 2010.
What? You really know that? Is that real? Is that for real?
It was at the Dungeon.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, Rain Man.
And you played it.
He played a couple songs. Yeah, he played on a couple songs. And I passed
I
out
think I was drinking.
So it was when it was Oscar and me and Dennis came up and played some songs on the acoustic or electric? On acoustic. And I passed out candy to the audience. I just like threw the
And I
candy
passed
in.
out.
And he passed out. So that's funny. That was like, there was like 6 people there, but because one of the freaking bands canceled, they shall not be named, but one of the bands canceled, and so it was like very strange, but it was just a good like just getting out there experience. So it's very different from what happens now.
So one of the big questions that I like to ask on this podcast is kind of the thrill of performing live, what that feels like for you guys, because most people don't get to experience that. Just the sheer, I mean, I've heard it's unlike any drug that you could ever take, just the feeling of knowing that you're making people happy and that they're appreciating your hard work. Now, this is a question for each and every one of you guys to answer individually, because different bandmates probably have different experiences with the different instruments that they play. But what does performing live feel like for you personally?
All right, fine, I'll go first. All right, this is where I'm going to get all poetic and stuff. Yeah, there's no feeling like anything else. Letting out what you've worked so hard in a close environment, just letting it out there and seeing the reaction of most or some people's faces when something that you've created, there's actually reaching them in some form. Also, there's the downside of, as musicians, we know when we're not having a good night or when we're having a really good night. And people can be like, oh, it sounded great, this and that and the other. And then mentally you're like beating yourself down because, no, that just did not feel it tonight. I just kind of played through it to get through it. So I think it's kind of like a double-edged sword for me in that aspect. There's nights that everything falls in place and I don't have to think about it. And there's nights that I really have to focus so that way my part doesn't look bad.
Mm-hmm.
My turn? Are we going in like order?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I think I might be different than a lot of people because if the show is going well, and they usually do, I go away. I don't. It could be 4 people. It could be 4,000 people. I'm kind of gone doing my own thing.
John Cena, can't see me.
So, in doing that, it like I said, it doesn't matter if it's 4 people or 4,000 people, as long as everything's going well and there's positive energy. I'm in my own little world, and I like it there. That's it.
It's almost the same thing. I used to be a professional wrestler, and I kind of see playing music in the same way. And I get to do something that I worked for and that I love and enjoy doing. And I'm performing for a crowd of people that have come to see this and enjoy this. You're there for a release, and they are there for a release of all their problems, of their job, their relationships, anything else. They come there to, a release and an escape from everything that's, kind of negative going on in their life, because they come there and enjoy it. And when I wrestled, it was like a 10-minute match, but we played 30, 45 minutes. And when they come there and you see people enjoying just you, at that moment, everything that they are enjoying is just you, nothing else. They're there jamming out, enjoying your music, everything. Everything else has disappeared to them, and they just experience joy and music and sound and vibration at the moment. And that's That's pretty fucking awesome. That's pretty
That's
fucking
really
awesome.
powerful.
That you can help someone feel what you're
Are you
feeling.
tearing up?
I promise.
You can feel what you're feeling and doing it, and somebody else enjoys it just as much.
Mhm.
So that's what I got out of it, because I'm not only doing what I like, but other people do it, and that helps them in a way. It's a release of the problem for them, and that's amazing. That's all.
Well, if music doesn't work out for you, you can always have a future career as a poet.
Well, thank you, because I normally can't speak for this shit. So.
Yeah. And I gotta ask too before we move on to April, you can't say that you were a professional wrestler and not tell us what was your character.
You gotta see it. There are videos.
My name was Justice, and I wrestled for NWA, IPW, CZW. I wrestled in Europe, but I wrestled all.
He was doing that fly off the top rope and flip 10 times a long time
I
ago.
wrestled in numerous parts of here and around the world. But,
He was
yeah.
a high
My
fly. He
name
was a
is
high
Justice.
flyer. Look it up, Justice IPW on YouTube. You'll see him. He used to paint his face. Sometimes he would do half black, half red, or half black, half white. He wore a hakama and a pauldron, and he was one of the. You went to England, and he was really highly regarded, and he's amazing. He studied. Justice is like the secret superhero of the band. He does parkour. He really does. He does parkour. He builds things. He builds our merch. He studied martial arts since he was a child. He can do all these flips. If you look it up, Justice, just Justice IPW whatever wrestling, you'll see he does all these flips, all these crazy things that people can't do now. It's not just your typical bump. I mean, and then he did stunts too. He's done some movie work as well. It shows. So low key superhero right here. Oscar, you wanted to chime in on something.
No, it was along the lines of what Justice said, which kind of, I guess what I said was a little bit similar, but along with the question that you asked about how we feel as performers on stage. And I just actually posted this quote yesterday about being a musician is not a hobby, it's a lifestyle. And I ended that quote with saying, if being a musician is just who I am, I can't really explain it. Mm-hmm. It's just in me. I can't explain it. I can't explain the emotions. I can't explain what goes through me when I'm in those situations that I'm performing or releasing when somebody's looking at me. So that's what I wanted to throw in.
Just quickly.
Where are you going?
Real quick.
We're having a
Okay.
moment.
So those were all great answers. I love their answers.
The cat.
Oh, we're getting the cat in here.
Oh.
This is Zoe, my cat. Our cat, me and Justice.
She loves
is
being
the
picked
family
up.
cat. And Nico's. We have our dog Nico. He's here inside. So, but for me, playing music is absolute freedom and liberation for me. We spend so much of our time, going to work, doing whatever chores and just being you kind of it's kind of like a put on a little bit. Not that you're not being yourself, but take for instance, a lot of people know me from the band, but then we all work, 40 hours a week. We all work for, full-time jobs. So, I work in a college and those people see me as, Miss Montellana, which, that's fine. And I'm finding that I know, see, they think it's weird, but see, my students don't think that, So, and at work, I'm there and I try to do the best that I can. And I like my job and I like my coworkers, but it's different, I'm in a professional setting and I have full tattoos. I have all these tattoos and I have to wear long sleeves to work every day. So, it's something like that. And it doesn't really, bother me as much, but you really see it when I'm on stage, that's everything that I am. That's the true self of the expression of me, It's complete freedom. When I play and I'm just feeling the music, it's just the essence of who I am is that person on stage. And that person who sings and plays guitar, I even had a coworker one time that went to one of our shows, and I mean, she likes rock casually, but it's not like a huge rock fan. But she loved our set, and she loved our music, and she said, April, like I can't explain it, but like it was so good to see you up there because you were so you. And I thought, wow, that's a good like thought about it. I was like, that was me. Like, you are so you. Like, that's just who I am, and that's the ultimate freedom. Nobody can take that from me. You know what I mean? Like, as long as I can express music, it's like no matter how my financial circumstances are, or if I'm homeless or whatever, if I'm staging putting it out there, like that's freedom.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, yeah, I get that 100%. And I love to ask bands as well. What do you guys do for preparation when you guys get to a venue? We have plenty of bands on here that say that, they like to each have a few beers, they like to have a couple shots, or they like to stretch. Do you guys have like a routine down, or do you guys just like to wing it when you get there?
Oh, beer's good.
We open a tab. Start a tab.
Start a tab. This is usually how it begins. I don't know, Oscar, do you have like
not a ritual, but more like whenever it's getting close to our set
lean
time?
in more? I don't think we can see you as much.
Can you see Oscar?
He gets the Joe Boo statue.
Not necessarily like a ritual thing, but when our set gets close and I have everything ready to go, already preset for the stage, I just kind of like retire myself to a corner, so just to clear my head, and I'm just kind of like try to get myself acclimated to the environment, what I'm going to deal with once it's my time to get up there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think for me too is like the same thing. I focus like, I feel bad, and I don't want, and I try to explain to certain people, like, because we'll have friends or fans come out, and they always want to talk to you, but like from the moment I get to the venue, like after we set up merch, and of course I say hello to everyone, but like my mind is like focus on the performance. For me, they can do it, but for me, I rarely drink. I don't drink that much before I perform. After, it's whatever, all bets are off or something. But I might have like one drink, but because I have to sing, and trust me, it's not cute to hear a girl warbling over it. I have to perform at my very best. I could probably, if I just played guitar, could probably get away with being drunk or whatever, but I have to sing, and I have to, I have to vocalize, I have to talk to the audience. So my whole thought is on the performance, like the entire night. So I try to play my best. I make sure I prepare everything, that all my guitars are tuned, everything is set up, because I want the performance to be the best. I want to give my all to the performance. So that's how I am. I'm like focused, and sometimes people are like, I don't want people to think I'm not like a social or whatever. It's just that I'm really focused on having a good performance.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah. And then this goes for everyone too. When you guys are performing, does time seem to stand still, or does time seem to speed up, or is it sort of a mixture of the both?
It seems to go pretty fast for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like one of those things when you're having fun, time flies.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Right.
pretty much how it feels.
I've gotten off stage and said to myself, did we play that song?
Yeah, and I have had that. I was like,
remember
wait, I
playing
forgot
that.
about it. Did that actually happen?
Usually when we get to like the second to last song, I'm going like, damn it, we just got 2 more songs left.
I know, it goes by so fast.
It's kind of a bummer.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now we get to our most audience favorite part of the podcast, the 5 questions that I like to ask everyone. And these are just 5 questions to get to know you guys a little bit better. And who knows, maybe you guys will discover stuff about yourselves that you had never known before. So for our first question, it is, out of all the songs that have ever been written in the history of music, what is one song that you personally wish that you would come up with yourself, and why? And everyone answers all 5 of these separately.
Okay. I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
Out of all the songs in the history of music, if you could pick any song that's ever been written, what song would you choose to have written yourself personally, and why?
Holy crap.
I know,
Can
right?
it be performed instead of written?
Yeah, either way.
Alright. I got 2, and these are going to be completely up a left field choices.
Oh, God.
One is going to be Rosanna by Toto. Totally would have loved to record that groove. And the other one's Spain by Chick Corea.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
I gotta say, my mom's name is Rosanna, and she has that song as her ringtone on her cell phone. Yeah.
I just did it myself.
Yeah.
But yeah, those would be the two songs that I would think that, I would definitely would have loved to have my name attached to that production.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. That's your turn.
Are we going in order again?
Yes.
Sure, why not?
Well, this is a tough. Tornado of Souls Megadeth.
All right.
No comments. It's just an awesome song. Arguably one of the greatest thrash metal songs ever written on one of the greatest thrash albums ever written.
Absolutely.
Read.
Song.
Did you really?
No, but sort of, but it was going to be one of the songs now.
You can still pick them.
No, I gotta say one of my favorite songs is "Indians" by Anthrax.
Mm-hmm.
I just fucking love that song. And that was like when I first got into thrash metal, and I saw that, I was like, I'm fucking doing that. I'm fucking doing that. And that's how I started playing guitar.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god, this is so hard. I have so many influences.
That's everything so hard.
It's so hard to come up with one song that I wish I read in the
Two
whole.
songs.
Is it two?
No,
or
I
one?
did two.
We have to pick two.
Well, nobody has
It's
to
one
agree.
song.
Oscar's the drummer, so I gave him an extra exception because he has it hard enough as it is.
What? I can't even think of this two. Okay. I think. Oh man, one song that I wish I'd written. My answer is kind of like out of left field too.
But before you answer though, isn't it true that the answer to this question can change from time to time?
That's true.
I mean,
Yeah.
in 2 months I might feel completely different.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, there's sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, so it could this answer if we when you interview us again in like 6 months, my answer could be different.
Mm-hmm.
But like my answer, it's kind of similar to I guess like Oscar's. Like for me, I wish I wrote the song "Shout" by Tears for Fears.
Oh,
like
great song.
yeah, isn't it? It's such a good song. The melody and like I love Tears for Fears. I'm a huge Tears for Fears fan, and that song is like. It's such like an anthem, like you just can't, like take it anymore, and like everybody can relate to it, but it's just very catchy. And the lyrics of that song, and I think when Disturbed did a cover of the song, you could hear it a little bit more. But that song is actually kind of like dark. That the lyrics of that song, and it's very, But so yeah, that's a song I would pick.
I'm gonna go total corporate sellout here, but just imagine if you were to have written and copyrighted the Happy Birthday song. How much money you would make off of that?
Right?
Absolutely. Short, simple, lasts about 15 seconds long. You're set for life right there.
You would be interviewing us, and we'd actually like be sitting in like a limo or a Lamborghini. Or something.
You guys would have gold. You guys would have gold chairs and everything.
Did a cover of it. It was amazing.
All right. So for our second question, out of all the artists that have ever lived, dead or alive, you can pick either one. If you could perform live with any artist, dead or alive, for one show, who would it be?
Holy crap.
These are good questions.
Sting.
Sting? All right.
Are we going in order again?
Yes, we're always going in order.
This is a tough question. Peter Steele, type of Megadeth.
Perform bass or guitar? Does it have to be a particular instrument?
Just perform.
Okay.
You could be the court jester for them. It doesn't matter.
Wait a minute, that changes everything.
I'm sorry, it's got to be Anthrax. It's got to be Anthrax.
Yep.
A person or a band, or does it?
It could be either or. Yeah.
An artist? Oh, okay.
Oh, an artist.
These are really good questions, Ryan. By the way.
Yeah, they are. They're awesome.
That's why they pay me the big bucks.
For me, it would definitely be A Perfect Circle. Yeah. Or anything, like Maynard James Keenan specifically, but A Perfect Circle. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's great. So now for our third question, out of all the venues on the planet, if you could play at one venue on the planet, where would it be?
At Sweden Festival.
Can we pick more than one venue?
Oh my
Oscar,
God.
you can pick as many as you want.
Oh my god.
Oh no, he's got a list.
I have a list.
Fine, while you guys are thinking, I'll list mine. Mine is Slane Castle in Ireland.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I've seen all the music videos that they have there, and that just it's such a beautiful sight, and yeah, that would definitely be mine. But we have had, I'd say I should mention that I have banned Red Rocks from the list because I was gonna do a tally to see how many I could get for
That was gonna be
certain things.
mine, but I'll pick something else.
We've had like 15 Red Rocks out of the 40 band podcasts that I've done, so it just got to a point where I was like, okay, I got to allow it because it's just that's gonna win, obviously.
I'm coming up with something else. Okay. Did you come up with something else?
At least I have one. Okay. The Acropolis in Greece.
Oh,
Yep.
hell yeah. It's a great answer.
I'm going to be cliche and say Madison Square Garden just because I grew up in New York.
That's in second place.
I don't know the exact place. But I just want to play vodka. Still fucking cool. It's like a giant festival, like a zillion people, and like every metal band I've ever loved has been there, and it's like I'd just be so
I think it's just like an open field,
Right.
not like a venue.
I think
yeah,
open
but
field.
it's like a
venue.
festival.
I'll play in the open field of vodka.
There we go. That would have been my second choice. I went with Greece, though.
Oh man, I don't know the exact venue, but I would love to play. I would love to play in like Tokyo or Japan. Yeah. Whatever venue.
Budokan.
Yeah, Budokan. That
Okay.
exactly. That's my answer.
I was going to say, now this, I got to warn you guys ahead of time, this is the segment that can really break bands up. It can really turn everyone against each other. Guilty pleasure songs. What is a guilty pleasure song that you think everyone else in the band would never guess that you enjoy?
You already know mine because we were discussing that on that way back from.
Well, he doesn't know.
Time.
The audience doesn't know.
All right, I will publicly admit this.
he leaned in. He leaned in for it.
Anything pop music from the 80s,
Oh, that's just good stuff.
especially Madonna.
Oh, yeah. Any specific Madonna song?
What's wrong with that?
Not particular. Anything from like 84 all the way through like 91, 92 era.
Yeah.
Actually, Getting to the Groove is one of my favorite ones.
I'm not going to lie, that's probably my favorite Madonna song, too. Yep, there we go.
All right.
Your Pink album. Just kidding.
No. No, I don't want to play that. But how about
Taking too long.
Please don't say Nickelback.
Secret Volbeat.
yeah, right. I'm gonna have to go with Cole, Breaking Benjamin.
It's not horrible.
It's not bad. It's not bad.
I'm gonna kick myself out.
Volbeat, I would have to quit.
I'm gonna go. Feel for You, Shaka Khan.
Yeah.
I fucking love that song, man.
That's a good song.
Reb Beach was her studio guitar player. He's amazing.
Guilty pleasure. Oh man, I like a lot of things that I think the rest of them do not like.
I like anything.
No, okay, there you go. They're open-minded, but I fucking love the Bee Gees.
Oh, yeah?
I love the Bee Gees. So I love every freaking song.
You want to get the fuck out of here?
See,
Alright.
I told you. I love
I'm
every
gonna have to go
song.
home now.
Yeah. I love every song by the Bee Gees. I know, like, not just the popular ones. Like, Justice knows that, like, in December, like, when we went on a road trip to Chicago, when I drove there to Christmas with my dad and my sister as well, and Justice, like, the whole, like, half of the car ride there, and just, like, an 18-hour drive, we fucking listened to, like, Bee Gees. So that's mine.
I think that should be Justice's best accomplishment when he writes down his life in like an autobiography is listen to the Bee Gees for 16 hours straight without going crazy.
I like the Bee Gees too, man. I grew up with them. My parents bought me all. Yeah, Bee Gees and Liquor, all that shit.
Yeah,
Makes me wanna punch babies.
Bee Gees and stylistics.
Yeah.
I love.
All right, so we got our last question here. This is a new one. Normally I'd ask guilty pleasure genre, but I took that one out and I replaced it with this one. This has proved to be a highly controversial question because some people can't come up with an answer, but if there was a single artist whose music you could entirely erase from existence, you wouldn't kill the person or whatever, they just, maybe instead of being an artist, they choose to be like a plumber or something. If you could erase their existence from their existence musically from memory, people would forget about all their music. You know, nothing would have came out. What artist would you do that to?
I already know the answer.
This is kind of harsh, but yeah.
I already know the answer.
Okay, Justice goes first.
Oh, no,
he knows. He knows
There you
it.
go.
No, it's
Go
not
ahead,
really
because
always goes
I
first.
can't really narrow it to one.
Post Malone. Jesus fucking Christ. What a power.
I agree.
Post Malone. Jesus.
Yeah, that
Garbage.
music is
Fucking garbage.
it's really bad. That's a good answer.
I
That
don't
was-
even know what you're talking about.
It's this rapper that all the kids like. It's
oh,
like
the
slow,
mumble rap.
mumbling. Yeah, it's
and
horrible.
It's all auto-tuned. They
Sucks.
can't sing.
Yeah.
It's
Sorry,
awful.
I respect most
Fucking
artists,
awful.
but I hate. Like, he seems like a nice guy, and like I said, we wouldn't want to kill him. Just
No,
this
it's
music.
probably fucking cool. I think
yeah.
when he metal band at one time.
Yeah, but
metal
he
man.
decided to make money.
Right. Yeah. But no, I'm sorry. I'm just like, can't do it.
That was a good answer. What about you guys?
Dennis.
Kanye, bye-bye.
Thankfully, someone has finally said it now, ladies and gentlemen. Kanye West.
I like that answer.
I really can't think of just one artist. to be honest with
Well, there's
you.
many.
Can I pick two from two separate genres?
Sure.
There he goes
He has the
again,
list, hang
Ryan.
on.
There he goes again,
All
Ryan.
right. First one would be Volbeat.
Yep.
They can just go to hell.
Exactly.
Exactly. Shut up.
That's
Second
fine.
one, I'm gonna have to go with a cliche answer: Justin Bieber.
I was just about to say that. Yep.
That's probably the most popular
Mm-hmm.
answer, is Ryan.
Yeah.
Is that like one of the most popular answers?
This is like the third time I've asked that question, and normally one guy said Queen, and I have no idea why he said that. I didn't like that person. Yeah, I didn't like that person. He says it's so overrated, and I was almost gonna kick him off the show right then and there, but you
That
know.
person was a Kanye fan.
Clearly, whoever you were interviewing
Probably.
know nothing about music.
Yeah, I don't
One of the
get
best
it.
vocalists in
Yeah.
rock and roll. Are you freaking serious? Wow.
Exactly.
Oh man. God, I really like the Post Malone answer, but I've had to think of another person. Oh my God. This is gonna sound controversial.
Billy Ray Cyrus.
No, I'll do the freaking electric slide. Don't break. Honestly, this is gonna sound bad, but I have my reasons. Honestly, Taylor Swift. I can't stand her music.
Yeah.
I cannot.
I think there's many people that.
No, she sells out arenas. Okay, this is why I'm not gonna go too much into it, but like people think she's such an amazing songwriter. All these, her writing is so banal, so so trite and not thoughtful, and just like what a waste of influencing young women. I'm sorry, the music is horrible. It's all about like, oh, I went to high school and this guy had a crush on me and I had a crush on them and blah blah. It's really horrible to me. So like she seems like a nice person again, but like I wish her music never existed.
Yeah. Absolutely, yeah. I could. She's hot or cold. I mean, she'll have one or two songs that I enjoy, but yeah, I completely agree with you on some of the other things. But wrapping it up now, I like to ask these two final questions before we are done here. So, if someone were to walk up to if this is also for all of you guys, if someone were to walk up to you on the street and say, "Hey, I just started this band, we're forming up," what would be the best piece of advice that you would give to them in order to be successful as a musician?
I know I haven't been successful.
You're on this podcast. That's that success right there.
Yes. What's your measure of success, though? You know what I mean? Like
Playing in front of people. I mean, people don't realize how hard that is just to even play in front of people. I mean, 95% of the population doesn't even have the stomach to do it.
We've gone from little to bigger, and
actually basically what I tell my students that want to go into like production world. Listen to as much music as possible so you can grab ideas from everywhere and anywhere. Keep an open mind. And just always know that everything's a learning experience, positive or negative. And always welcome constructive criticism. And if somebody's trying to tell you to stop what you're doing or that you suck, basically, they don't know what they're talking about. Because if that's all they can come up with as a critic, then that means they don't have the brain cells to come up with something intelligent to say.
Yeah.
So, perseverance. Sum a lot up.
Good word.
What about you, Dennis?
What about me? I'm going to say, check your ego.
Yeah.
Check your ego, play to the song. Just because you can play 9,000 notes doesn't mean you should.
Yep.
If the song requires you to play nothing at that moment, play nothing. Wait, what?
That might be the best answer I've had so far to that question. No one has ever said check their ego, but we have had a lot of lead singers on, so, that's, part of the thing.
Yeah, I agree with it. Check your ego. And again, like, if you pay attention to most people in music or film or anything else, they will always tell you that they have helped other people with things, and that's how they got where they were. They were helpful, and they were thoughtful and helpful. And that's very, very important, because if you do that, if you help others, people are going to help you.
Right.
And that will get you along the way. It'll get you a long, long way. So be respectful, people. If they're nice to you, be nice to them. Check your ego. Don't be a dick.
Yep.
Because it'll get you nowhere. It will get you nowhere.
Right.
Because there's nobody that's good.
Like,
There's nobody that's good in the world that can be a dick and just get away with it.
Why has no one told me that yet?
A dick is a
don't
fucking
be
dick.
fake.
Yeah. I can't think of a better example of that, too. I mean, if me and Lee didn't have such a great podcast ahead of time, I would not be able to be talking to you guys. So that's just another positive example for everyone out there. You're nice to people, they do stuff for you, and, I mean, just help others out as much as you can, too. Life is hard enough as it is for a lot of people, so, I mean, just give people a helping hand if you can.
Try and preach.
Exactly. You totally have
Just
to
be human.
help each other. This
Be
whole
a fucking human being.
metal started
It's not
because
competition.
people helped each other and were supportive of each other and helped each other along this way of this movement that started from nothing and became something. So don't stop that. Be helpful to each other. Help each other. Be
Absolutely.
supportive. Go out and see each other's shows. Help them load gear.
Yep.
Help them do things.
Help
Yes.
us load gear.
They're going to
Help
help us load
please.
gear. Yeah.
My back hurts.
Take care of each other. It's easy, man. It's easy to be friends. Sucks being enemies.
Yeah.
It's true. For me, first off, I want to say this has been an awesome interview. Thank you, Ryan. These
Oh, no problem. Pleasure's all mine.
less productions and management. My answer would be to someone that is wanting to be in a band. Never forget the reason why you love music in the first place. It's easy, really easy, especially as an independent artist, to get caught up in all the things that you're supposed to do, and you're like, I got to do this on social media. I need to do this. I need to talk to this person, this promoter, get this many likes, blah, blah, blah. And I got to wear this, wear that. And that's all part of it. But then you forget, then you start to become more miserable. And then you get kind of, there's this, you develop a sort of angst and you're like, why am I even doing this in the first place? It's because you love music. So you always have to remember the passion that you have for music. And, sometimes when we play with bands, and it's like they're, you can tell they're just started. But what I like to see about those bands, and first of all, like you said, it takes so much to get up on stage. But what I love to see in those bands, it's like a reminder, because you can tell in those bands they just want to go out there and play music. They don't care about the social media or this. They're having so much fun, because to them this is this is like so cool and everything, after you've been playing for so long, and sometimes you can take things for granted, like, oh yeah, we played this or whatever, and it's not a big deal to me. Every show is a big deal, but like to some, like, it might be like, oh, this isn't that big of a deal, but like when you see bands that are just starting to come out there, you see the light in their eyes, and then that reminds you, like, I miss that, like that's why we play music.
Haven't been corrupted yet.
Exactly.
Yeah. So my last question that I like to ask is, obviously, where can people find your guys' music? I mean, do you guys have YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, all that? Well, where can people listen to your guys' music?
Everywhere. AuditoryArmory.com, Spotify, iTunes, Amazon, Google Play, iHeartRadio. Just look up Auditory Armory.
YouTube.
Yep.
Nobody else has that name, so
Yep.
you will find it on any major streaming media or online source. It's there.
Except Pandora, because they paid us the best compliment you could pay somebody. They called us unclassifiable.
Fuck you, Pandora.
Yeah, literally, they denied our request because they said we did not sound enough like anybody else.
That is the dumbest response I've ever heard, probably anything else.
Right?
That should be like the biggest compliment of all time, to like get someone on. I don't get, yeah. All right, everyone, all my listeners out there, boycott Pandora, by the way. We'll start a Pandora boycott, yeah.
I never fucking listen to Pandora.
They're $5 anyway. Freezes all the time.
So you guys have a show coming up September 6th. Would you like to tell us a little bit more about that? And then you have a tour also afterwards.
Yes. You don't even know? That's the one with new
Haven. Phil.
I always have a show on my birthday. It's like every year show on my
His
birthday.
birthday's actually on Thursday, so we're playing with No Self, and they're actually getting ready to go on tour.
Good
We're
people,
like,
check them out.
yes,
man.
we're like
Go check out
crossing
No
paths.
Self. Those guys are fucking awesome.
Yeah, they're awesome. They're like really good new metal. So their tour is called A New Hope, but it's spelled N-U, like new metal.
Mhm.
Sorry, No Self, shout out. That was really clever that you did that. And they actually have a song called New Disease, and it's spelled N-U too. I think they're really trying to
How
tell us
quirky
something.
can you get?
I think they're really trying to tell us something. But they're awesome, really great guys, and where are they from? Like Daytona or something around that area?
The land or
I don't know.
They're-
Sorry, we don't. It's in the Central Florida area, but
Yeah.
they're really great. Check them out. So we're playing with them and Phil, and it's kind of like their like little tour kickoff, and it's also Justice's birthday. That's at the Haven in Winter Park, and then yes, we have our Mind Over Matter Midwest tour,
Mhm.
sponsored, put together by LS.
He's standing
No.
behind the computer. That's why
Come
I'm pointing over
here.
here.
Can you come
Get over
here?
here.
No,
Come
please.
on.
Yeah, I think our audience wants to see Lee again. I mean, they enjoyed his podcast so much.
Lee.
Everyone, Lee Spears for the second time on DD on the Spot.
Ellis Management and Productions. He's an amazing photographer. Come on, Lee. He's a great singer, amazing human being. He has helped us so much. We love him so much. He's just so great, and he helps a lot of independent bands, and he's blowing up. Right, you're blowing up. So many female-fronted bands that he supports, as well as he's just got such a great taste in music. So you tell him where we're playing, since they can hear your beautiful voice.
So, Mind Over Matter Tour is September 12th at Live Arena in Chicago. September 13th, they are at Cairo Ale House in West Chicago. September 14th, West Allis, Wisconsin at the Crimson Club. And then September 15th, we are in Minneapolis at the Poorhouse, downtown Minneapolis, birthplace of Friends, of course.
And I will check my schedule for that September 15th date, because I'm about 15 minutes away. So if I can make it, you believe me, I will be there.
I've got Ryan. I've got you on the VIP list if you do show up.
Okay, yeah, absolutely.
We're gonna pay to get in. You just walk in the door, man.
Absolutely, yeah, for sure. I'll be there then, yeah.
We gotta have Ryan there.
Yeah, absolutely I'll be there.
He'll find you.
Trust
Oh, yeah.
me, don't have Dennis find you.
Yeah, I'll be there, and first round's on me, you guys, and then we'll see how the night takes us. Yeah. First round's on me, yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, this is Auditory Armory, guys. Again, check these guys out for sure. I'll leave the links down to all their stuff down below, and I'll also leave links down for Justice's wrestling career. We can give everyone a shout out for that. Everyone can go check him out. And yeah, I mean, we really appreciate having you guys on the show. I mean, you guys want to plug anything else before you guys leave? Any bands that you guys are friends with that you would like to give a shout out to?
Nope.
That's horrible.
Well,
Wow.
No, we have a lot of friends.
There's a list.
There's a list. We have so
Ain't
many.
nobody got time for that.
Oh,
List.
the music is starting.
yeah. Oh, A Fine Line, Copper Bones, Filth, Faces of Many, Sunshine and Bullets. There's No Self,
No self.
GFM, Screaming at the Silence, Otherworld, A Fine Line, if I didn't say that one already, Jupiter Groove,
Jupiter Groove. This guy was talking to me.
Cool curses.
Cruel Curses,
Yeah.
Coming Home, the band. See, there's so many amazing bands in Florida. Inviolate, Silent
That's
Echoes.
why I travel to Florida.
Just, they need to come up with some new stuff. But Funeral for a Clown, if you're out there. Oh, my brother's in Kellen Heller. I'm sorry, from
Yeah.
South Carolina.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Definitely check them out. We love them. Did we forget anybody?
Probably.
We probably did, but we're friends with so many bands.
If
so
we did, it's spur of the moment. So
sorry
Yeah.
if we didn't include you, but you know we love you all.
Absolutely. And again, you guys, Auditory Armory, check these guys out. Links down below. We really appreciate you guys being on the show. And this is DD on the Spot, Ryan Johnson signing out. Have a great night, everyone.